All right, Concept E is the last video lesson that you guys are going to have to do for Unit 1. We're basically going to continue doing dimensional analysis, but we're going to add in one extra piece where you're actually going to be creating the conversion factors or those equalities using Table C in the reference table. I'm going to show you two methods on how to do so. In chemistry, measurements are taken in the metric system, which is based on the International System of Units, or the SI system. Base units that we're going to be using is meter, liter, and gram. And all these conversions are in bases of 10. So these all relate to the prefixes, which are all based on conversions of 10. Metric prefixes are going to be used to create multiples and subdivisions of any unit of measure off of that base unit. We can use equalities or conversion factors to show how two prefixes are related to one another. So in the previous lesson, I gave you all the equalities that you needed. Here you're going to be creating them using Table C, which is a good skill to be able to have, so you can use that on tests and on the Regents exam. So the first method is to relate the prefixes to the base unit. And then I'm going to show you one where you simply relate the prefixes directly to each other. But some students prefer one over the other, and you just have to find which one works best for you and stick with it. So we're going to use Table C. The trick to doing this, let me open up the pen option quickly, is that you're going to be working with the prefix and then the base unit. What you're going to do is you're going to always put a 1 in front of the whatever unit you're working with that has the prefix. You place a 1 in front of. Then you're going to go to Table C and you're going to look up that prefix, kilo in this case. 10 to the third. That means then that if I had my 1 times 10 to the third, 10 to the third there, which is equal to 1,000. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong thing. Sorry, guys. Ooh, ignore that. 1 times 10 to the third, or 1,000, that number that is created from that factor is going to go in front of the base unit. So 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. All right, so let's look at another one. Centigrams to grams. Remember, I have my prefix with my centigrams. I'm going to place a 1 in front of it. I'm going to go find centi over on Table C, which is 10 to the negative 2. So 1 times 10 to the negative 2 means I have 0.01. Okay, that goes in front of, and you can just simply place that into your calculator or move the decimal over. That would have been over here on 1 and move it over to the left twice. So 0.01. So 1 centigram is equal to 0.01 grams, which makes sense. Centi is a smaller unit, smaller prefix, so it should be a fraction of the base unit. All right, and the last one, again, here's my prefix. So I'm going to put a 1 in front of the prefix there. I'm going to find deci over on the side, which is 1 times 10 to the negative 1. You can either write that in that spot or calculate that out, which is 0.1. So 0.1. Okay, so that's one part of it, is just coming up with these conversion factors relating the prefix to the base unit using Table C. So now let's actually use that in a problem. So we're going to convert 5.6 meters to kilometers. So let's first just come up with the conversion factor. We have meters having to equal to kilometers. Okay, we did this one up above. I find where my prefix is, I place a 1. This is my base unit. If you look at Table C, this is a 10 to the third. So 1 times 10 to the third, which gives me 1,000 meters per 1 kilometer. So that's my equality from up above. Just like in our previous lesson, you start with whatever you are given. So I'm starting with 5.6 meters. If I start with meters, I have to place the meters down below. Remember, I'm not just picking whatever is a 1 and placing it down below. It's based on my units. So 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. Oops, got a 0 there. We're going to cross out our meters, so we're left with kilometers. And then when I solve that, I get 0.00, that should be a decimal there, 56 kilometers. And because I had 2 sig figs there, I leave my 2 sig figs in my answer. All right, so what happens then when you have 2 prefixes under this first method? We're going to set up 2 conversion factors. So I'm first going to have my deciliters equaling to liters. Okay, so I place my 1 with the deci. This is 1 times 10 to the negative 1 if you look it up on Table C, which is 0.1. And then I also have another conversion factor where I'm going to relate milliliters to liters. Okay, remember this is where we're relating those prefixes to the base unit. Place a 1 in front of milliliters. This is 1 times 10 to the negative 3. So that means, excuse me, this is going to be 0.1 0.001. All right, so now let's set these up. Remember, always start with whatever you are given. So I'm starting with my 7.66 deciliters. Okay, I start with deciliters, so I have to use the conversion factor that has deciliters. So I place my 1 deciliters down below. Okay, that 1 is locked in with deciliters, and then I'm going to place my 0.1 liters above. Now the deciliters cross out. My next conversion factor, if I have liters up on the top, I need to put liters in the bottom. So I'm going to place the 0.001 liters is equal to 1 milliliter. My liters cross out, so I'm left with my milliliters, which is great. And when you multiply across the top, divide by the bottom, you get 766 milliliters, and that's it. All right, now, there is a method that gets rid of having to use 2 conversion factors when you have 2 prefixes. This way might work best for you, but I am going to show you a different method as well. Excuse me. All right, we're going to be using the difference between units to create conversion factors. The big thing to remember is that however many of the smaller units there are in one of the larger unit. So what do I mean by that? Excuse me. We're going to be converting, converting 12.3 centigrams to milligrams. All right, you do not need to set up this chart. This is just to show you how I'm going to get the conversion factor. My given unit is centigrams. Okay, the magnitude off of table C is 10 to the negative 2. My target unit, which I'm looking at right here, is milligrams, which is 10 to the negative 3. I look at the difference in the magnitudes between those 2 units, which is a power of 1, which 1 power of 10 is a 1 with 1 0. That means then that for every 10 of the smaller unit, which is milligrams, that's equal to 1 of the larger unit, which is centigrams. So again, I looked at the difference between their magnitudes. I counted how many powers, basically like on the number scale, which going from negative 2 to negative 3 is 1, which is equal to 10. So 1 power of 10 is equal to 10. I place that 10 with the smaller unit. Okay, and again, let me point this out. Okay, that number gets placed with smaller unit because it takes many of the smaller to equal 1 of the larger. Okay, centigrams. So when I go ahead and solve this, I'm going to start with what I'm given. Okay, I now know that 10 milligrams is equal to 1 centigram. The 1 centigram goes in the bottom. The 10 milligrams goes in the top. Okay, I can cross out my centigrams and then go ahead and solve. So 12.3 centigrams is equal to 123 milligrams. All right, let me show you one more of these. Oops, ignore that number scale. Here I'm going to convert 12,005 millimeters to kilometers. I look at my given unit, which is millimeters, and I'm going to look at my target unit, which is kilometers. Again, I'm using table C for this. The magnitude of millimeters is 10 to the negative third. The magnitude of kilometers is 10 to the third. So when I look at the difference between units, basically counting along a number scale, I'm going to get a difference of 6. So 6 powers of 10, or 1 times 10 to the 6, is a 1 with 6 zeros. So 1 million. That 1 million is going to be placed with the smaller unit. Okay, it takes many of the smaller ones to equal 1 of the larger. So my conversion factor is going to be 1,000,000 millimeters per 1 kilometer. So I'm going to start with what I'm given, my 12,005 millimeters. I'm going to plug in millimeters in the bottom, which if I look up above, it took 1,000,000 of them to equal 1 of the kilometers. So 1,000,000 millimeters, 1 kilometer, cross out the millimeters, and you get your answer of 0.012005 kilometers. All right. This one I want you to try out on your own, picking one of the 2 methods so you can check to see how well you do. Okay, I'm not going to show you the solution for this one. Okay, I want you just to see what you can come up with on your own, and then we'll go over questions tomorrow or include them in your summary. So picking one of your 2 methods, okay, and I want to see work shown for this, whether it was the method 1 or method 2, your final answer should be equal to 5.97 deciliters. All right, so let me know how you do on that question, and you guys are all set.